Thanks. Thanks, Rucha, for introducing me. Hello, everyone, and very good afternoon to all. First of all, thank you all for joining us today. Today, we are going to dive deeper into the concept of Kubernetes as service for multi-cloud infrastructure. But before, I think already Rucha introduced me, but let me introduce myself, then we can get started. So my name is Sachin Gade. I am Senior Solution Architect at Opsip Technologies. We are heavily invested in automation and in cloud, which naturally brought us to containers and a DevOps space. I love working with working and exploring both like DevOps and containers. So that's my natural side. That's why I love working on the container orchestration, and which is like a Kubernetes is de facto standard. So without further delay, let's see what all things that I'll be talking about. So let me share my screen. Okay.
Sachin, your screen is visible. Please go ahead.
Yes. Sorry. Okay. Let's go with the agenda for today. Okay. Although our main agenda today is like Kubernetes and multi-cloud Kubernetes infrastructure, but I will start with some basic information about Kubernetes, and then slowly we will move about like multi-cluster Kubernetes, what is multi-cloud Kubernetes, and then we'll see some operational challenges with Kubernetes, and at then like we'll have some solution for the Kubernetes as a service for the multi-cloud, and after that I'll introduce one of the solution that we have picked, and I'll show then comes to the with some small demo. I will try to explain everything in simple but practical demo with one of the solution. And for those who joined late, again welcome, and let's get started. Okay, so nowadays, as you know, like most of our enterprise are moving from legacy application to the cloud native microservices based application. So when we talk about the microservices or the cloud native applications, so next part is like containers most of the time. So most of the microservices based application runs on the containers. We know like containers are very good way to containers is a good way to bundle and run your application. But when in a real-time world or the environments like a production environment, we need to manage these containers and that run the applications and ensure that there is no downtime, right? To get that, we need some framework that can automate the deployments and take care of scaling or managing of your container applications. So there are multiple solutions available in the market, but I think Kubernetes has become the de facto orchestrator now. So most of the world currently who are doing the container orchestration, they are kind of sliding towards the Kubernetes only. So Kubernetes is portable, extensible, open source platform for managing and orchestrating container applications. So it take care of like automating your deployments, then scaling your application, then making sure that your application is highly available. It makes it's end-to-end management of your container application. So, and as it's open source, like anyone can use it. So it gives you the freedom to take advantage of like on your on-premise infrastructure, your hybrid cloud infrastructure, or your even public cloud infrastructure. You can deploy Kubernetes anywhere, and with minimal efforts, you can run your workload or your application the place where it matters to you. Either it can be a public cloud, or it can be a on-premises, or it can be a private cloud. So that's why the Kubernetes it's very good at it, and it's really rapidly growing system. Like everyone is like currently using Kubernetes, and it has a larger ecosystem as well. And there are a lot of available services and supports and tools currently available. There are a lot of integration, kind of all the platform, public platforms, or most of the platform have kind of integration with the Kubernetes. So it becomes the de facto standard for the container application deployment. Okay, I think everyone know what Kubernetes now. Let's go to the next slide. Okay. Even I explained the Kubernetes, but still, if you have some doubts, let me walk you through some kind of tangible advantages of Kubernetes. So, as I think the image itself explaining, but I will just reiterate with it. So Kubernetes is highly scalable, which means that you can scale your application with ease. Like you can run your application, you can scale it to the 1,000 or 10,000s of your application instances with ease. There is nothing extra that you have to do. The scalability supported by Kubernetes. Then it can be a kind of application scaling, or it can be a cluster scaling. Both is supported with very ease. Then Kubernetes is highly portable because it works with virtually any type of container runtime involved. So it can be like used with variety of other infrastructure or environment configuration. So you can deploy and run the Kubernetes anywhere in, as explained, hybrid environment or on-premises or a cloud environment. So it is highly portable. And as it fast, so let's talk about faster time to market. Excuse me. So how faster time to market? It means like Kubernetes has really faster application deployment strategy, and because it's portable, it has decreased the time to market by virtue of increased productivity, right? So you can deploy, you can just focus on development, but the deployment and time to market is taken care by the Kubernetes. That means like company can take advantage of multiple cloud providers if needed, and they can rapidly grow without having to re-architect their infrastructure. Like currently you are using AWS, but because of some limitation, you have to move to the other clouds, Azure or GCP. You don't have to re-architect your infrastructure, because with the Kubernetes, you can run on any cloud. And agility, it's like cost saving. So as it offers the agility in scaling, right? You can scale it and scale out anytime, and Kubernetes take care of optimizing your uses of computing resources. So at the end, it helps companies to save a lot of cost. Like with Kubernetes, you don't have to run the different instances for each application. Kubernetes take care of managing the resources for you, and that at the end saves the cost, a lot of cost for us. So that's the most biggest benefit that Kubernetes comes with. And not only this, Kubernetes has one of the largest community in the world currently, which includes like a lot of users, contributor across the world, and it's still growing. That's why when it comes to the container orchestration, Kubernetes has been the de facto standard for container applications. So I think with this benefits, you may have got idea of what Kubernetes is, how it useful. So let's move to the next slide. Okay, now that we know that why containers and why Kubernetes, let's talk about the elephant in the room, right? The reason why we all are here today. I think everyone knows Kubernetes, everyone knows containers, but what we are going to talk about today is the multi-thing. So let's begin. So with single Kubernetes cluster as well, we can achieve like scalability, high availability, and all the benefits that Kubernetes offers. But there are some situations when we work with a Kubernetes, like where single Kubernetes cluster cannot handle the application load or cannot properly distribute the application to the end users. So in this scenarios, multi-cluster Kubernetes solution is kind of ideal for spreading your workforce to the multiple cluster. So what is actually a multi-cluster strategy? So multi-cluster is nothing but multi-cluster is a strategy for deploying your application across multiple Kubernetes cluster to improve your availability, isolation, then scalability. How we can achieve it? Like multi-cluster Kubernetes approach help us to improve performance. Like just imagine that you have some users in UK, you have some users in US, and because of if you have deployed your application inside US, the UK customer may kind of have low kind of latency it may have. So in that case, the performance, they can feel that your performance is very or something like that. But with multi-cluster Kubernetes approach, it can help us to improve the performance. Like you can create multiple Kubernetes clusters to distribute the application across different regions, and then it actually exponentially increases the availability of your application, and the end users will have much better experience interacting with the application with lower latency, and it actually end with a faster performance. So same can be applied for the let's talk about the workload isolation. So running the different workload in a different cluster, it helps achieve the isolation of your resources, and which can be kind of there are currently with the world moving on the security and security compliances, there are a lot of requirement around it. So if you have multiple clusters or multiple cluster, you can achieve the isolation between your workloads, and there may be a security compliance need that can be fulfilled. And then let's talk about the scaling. The same can be applied for scaling as well, right? Instead of a single cluster handling all the scaling requirement, multi-cluster deployments are distributed across multiple clusters, and scales according to a load of specific cluster. Like it actually helps us drastically reduce the resource consumption of single cluster, and it can improve your overall performance. Like you have 5 clusters. If one of the region have the higher workload, then only that cluster will get scaled. Other cluster will remain as it is. But if you have a single cluster and you have all the 5 regions attacking it, that the scaling may kind of it may reduce your performance. So that's why the multi-cluster approach is really benefit for most of the enterprises. I think SaaS-based enterprises where they have the customer dependency, customer region dependency, I think it's very helpful to have the multiple clusters running. So in short, the multi-cluster approach is really flexible because you can configure each cluster with a different configuration. Like you think that you have a lot of customer in US, you can create a bigger cluster in US, and if you have low customer base in UK, you can create a smaller cluster in UK. So that way it's very flexible. You can configure it very separately, and that actually adds advantage for your business as well as your cost, and it actually helps you to improve the performance for your application. So that's about the multi-cluster approach. So let's go next. Okay, so we talked about the multi-cluster approach. Then there is a multi-cloud Kubernetes approach. So what is multi-cloud Kubernetes? So multi-cloud Kubernetes is like a deployment of Kubernetes over the multiple clouds and service and providers, right? But why to complicate these things? So why do we need all these things? Just kind of think about it. So there are a lot of inherent advantage of multi-cloud Kubernetes. It's similar to the multi-cluster only, but it is just like we are changing the cloud to the different cloud. So first is like cloud bursting. So the traditionally cloud bursting means like it's like refer to the use of the cloud resources to cover excess workload demands beyond the capacity of your on-premises system. Like you have on-premise system, but it is not able to cope up with the load of your application. So you take help of the cloud resources to just manage the workload. So similarly in multi-cloud approach as well, we can do the same. We can just, in this case, we can have one cloud supplement the resources of the other cloud. Means like if there may be a multiple scenario, like one of the cloud have the offers a better solution with a lower cost and for high performance or high throughput, then we can use that cloud for that purpose. If some cloud is kind of good with databases, we can use the databases from that cluster, something like that. So multi-cloud Kubernetes approach is for that only. It can help us to kind of with the cloud bursting, and biggest advantage is like, let's talk about disaster recovery and the backup and archive, right? So we can use the multi-cloud Kubernetes for disaster recovery to achieve a greater resilience and availability than a single cluster, right? If you have a single cloud cluster, it is prone to failure, right? But if you have a multi-cloud Kubernetes clusters, we can achieve a disaster recovery and backup with that by spreading your recovery resource the different clouds, which it will actually reduce your chances that the cloud vendor becomes your single point of failure. So it avoids a vendor blocking, like, and you can stay as you have to currently you have to stay with a single vendor if you have a single cloud cluster. But if it's a multi-cloud cluster, vendor blocking is not there, so you can switch between the clouds. If some cloud is giving you more discount, like you can prefer them more. That's kind of activity, that kind of benefits you can have with a multi-cloud approach. And currently people are doing that, like I have saw the customers like using the GCP for storage, AWS for compute, or those kind of things. So it's a really good approach. Then the third, let's talk about multi-site active. So as we know, like a blue-green deployment, it's like one is active and one is a passive. But there are cases like we can achieve with a multi-cloud, like we can have a configuration like similar to disaster recovery or backup. Like all clusters are, we'll create a clusters on the multi-clouds, but all the clusters are active. In case of disaster recovery, we follow like one is active and one is passive. But in case of we can keep both the clusters active. So this actually enables you to keep clusters synchronized in real time and distribute workload continuously and immediately. So this is very helpful for the mission critical or business critical application where you think that there should not be a downtime, or should be a zero downtime. So I think this helps, this multi-cloud approach helps in that case, as well as it also saves the cost as well. Like you have some application which is a compute heavy, and if some cloud is offering compute in less cost, you can just have the cluster for compute in that cloud. And if some cluster is offering good storage with a less cost, then so similarly you can distribute your load with the application. Actually it can increase the performance, it can save a cost. So all the benefits that we can achieve with this approach. I think let's go to the next slide. Okay. So we already talked about Kubernetes, right? So Kubernetes containers, as I said earlier, so Kubernetes has become the de facto standard for container orchestration. And it's open source, so it's currently supported by all the public clouds and cloud providers. I think 3-4 years ago there was no kind of a managed services, only GCP was supporting it. But now if you see, all the public clouds have their managed Kubernetes offering. Like AWS have the EKS, Azure have the AKS, GK already have GKE. Along with that, you can install Kubernetes manually as well on any cloud. As there are a lot of tools available like KOps, then KubeADM, then KubeSpray. So those tools, with the help of those tools, it is very easy to install and manage. And this, I think this image itself is a trailer. It's kind of a trailer, the entire Kubernetes ecosystem movie. And everyone knows like what Kubernetes comes with the benefits. So I think that's about Kubernetes. Let's move ahead. Oh, okay. Now I talked about Kubernetes is a movie. It's an ecosystem, right? But every movie has a villain, right? So for Kubernetes, there are some, and what are those villains? Let's talk. I think operational challenges with Kubernetes. So most of these challenges are self-explanatory, and I think most of you already have kind of worked around it or faced those around it. But I will reiterate them for some of us and who might new to this scenario. Okay, so let's talk about networking first. So as everyone knows, like if there is a multi-cloud or multi-cluster approach, networking gonna be like operational challenge for us, because we don't know how to manage the networking, how to understand that your security or access model is right or wrong. It's really tricky. Then same for the deployment consistency, right? There are so many ways for deploy the applications on Kubernetes. There are deployment specification you can deploy using Helm chart, you can deploy. There are other ways to deploy, like a lot of ways, but how to know that which is the best way or which is the right way to deploy? Similarly for access control and enterprise entity integration, right? So there is no centralized, like how to keep your authentication centralized. You have a team of 100 people, and if you want to give access to the 50 people, but there is no central authentication or access control. So it's very difficult to handle this kind of challenge. Then next is like security policies, right? So some companies follow the security policy, they implement the best practices, but some company doesn't know, like there is no actually visible way that you have, which security policy you have to apply, or why we need it. There is that there are a lot of challenges in that field. Like no one know what is the best. Similarly for chargeback as well, right? So you create a Kubernetes cluster, you share it with your team, but how to ensure that this team is using it properly or not? How to ensure that appropriate usage of shared resources to the right team, right? If your development team is using your most of resources compared to the production, then who will take a kind of a keep eye on that? So those kind of things is currently not available, and it's actually a challenge for Kubernetes, and similarly for platform monitoring as well, right? So how to make sure that whatever the implementation of your platform is meeting the SLA, whatever we have implemented, properly monitor. There is no way to do see that. And similarly for integration authentication, as I talk, it's like how to integrate with a central authentication system like LDAP or a SAML. So there is no currently there is no support for that. And similarly for multi-tenancy, like how to manage the multi-tenancy and the shared cluster. So there is no clear visibility for this, and this is actually a challenge. Similarly for scaling high availability as well, like there are like how to make my cluster highly available and scalable. Whatever I am doing is correct or not. There is no actually visibility for that. So this is an operational challenge for us. And along this, all this operational, if you going to manage this multi-cloud or multi-cluster Kubernetes, it going to get more harder for you, right? So all these operational challenges we have, to overcome some of these challenges, there are some tools that support configuring and managing Kubernetes multi-cluster environments, right? So it's something like Kubernetes as a service. So there are some tools available, and I think as part of this session, I'm going to talk about that. So let's see. Everyone is with me, right? Otherwise, I'm. Okay. So we talked about Kubernetes containers, then multi-cloud and multi-cluster, and we talked about the operational challenges as well, right? So those challenges, as we know, it's very difficult to handle when you new to the Kubernetes, or even you are experienced with Kubernetes. Those challenges are there, but how to handle those challenges, right? So when we think about that, if we have something like Kubernetes as a service, and which will manage the Kubernetes for you, and it actually support all the at least solve some of the operational challenges that we have. So there are some tools currently in the market. So Google Anthos is one of them. So Google Anthos is designed to extend the GK, the Google Kubernetes Engine, across the hybrid and the multi-cluster environment. Like it enables to provide a consistent Kubernetes experience while having a centralized multi-cluster management environment. So like you can run the Google Kubernetes over the multi-cloud and multi-cluster, and from a single centralized environment. And similarly, Microsoft Azure Arch as well. It's designed to extend the Azure management and services across the hybrid cloud, hybrid or multi-cloud environment. It is not, and it's not only limited to the Kubernetes only, but it actually also natively supports some of the Azure services. I think Azure data services, and I think such as Azure SQL and Azure Postgres Hyperscale. I think both of them supported for this case. And actually it can also use to develop the Kubernetes cluster as well. Like we can have the Kubernetes cluster, multiple Kubernetes cluster on hybrid or multi-cluster, multi-cloud environment, and it can be kind of managed centrally from the Azure Arc portal. So similarly, there is a Rancher, which is also an enterprise-grade container management platform, which is built-in support for Kubernetes multi-cluster, multi-cloud management, and as well as on-premises as well, which is, I think in this session, we are going to talk about Rancher 2.0. And along with these three, I think there is only VMware Tanzu as well, which is a similar platform offered by VMware to manage and secure Kubernetes infrastructure across the multi-cloud environment. So these are the four options. But as we, why I choose Rancher, because Google Anthos is from the Google and Microsoft Azure is from Microsoft, and I wanted to go with open source technologies. So I choose Rancher for this session. Okay. So Kubernetes as a service. Now all the platforms that are very much capable of doing a lot of things around Kubernetes, right? But let's talk about Rancher. So what is Rancher? Rancher is open source software that enables organization to run containers in production. So similarly, like you can run with the help of Rancher, it provides the entire software stack like needed to manage the containerized application. And actually it addresses some of the operational and security challenges to managing the multiple Kubernetes cluster across an infrastructure. So with the help of Rancher, we can actually achieve a Kubernetes as a service, and we can at least solve some of the operational challenges that we just talked about. So we'll deep dive into the Rancher, and we'll have some short demo about Rancher, the how Rancher works, how you can configure the multi-cloud cluster, how you configure the different on-premises cluster. But I'm not going to demo on-premises, but the cloud-based will definitely demo. So let's go ahead, as we have a lot of slides. I'll just go somewhat faster. Okay, so what is Rancher? So we already talked about Rancher. What is Rancher? So Rancher actually provides us a single pane of glass to manage a multi-cloud Kubernetes cluster. And it also helps us to address the operational and security challenges of managing the multiple Kubernetes cluster across any infrastructure. So using Rancher, you can deploy Kubernetes on Azure, GCP, VMware, AWS, OpenStack, or all on-premise infrastructure with or without managed services. Like Rancher supports supposed to kind of install the managed services as well. Rancher actually unites, if you see the unified Kubernetes, actually unites Kubernetes cluster with a centralized authentication system, which is the biggest operation challenge that we face. And then actually it has integrated enterprise security, then auditing, backups, upgrades, and observability and alerts. Everything is kind of integrated with it. You can deploy and secure clusters consistently in minutes in anywhere. Like you can, within a minute, you can create clusters on AWS, Azure, GCP, any cloud you want to. And it has actually contains variety of tools that included in Kubernetes that are not included in Kubernetes to assist you in DevOps practices. Like Rancher can integrate with the external services like Prometheus for monitoring, then or alerting and logging to help you cluster to run efficiently. And actually it also have the pipeline application pipeline CI/CD support. Like Rancher pipeline is a CI/CD support by the Rancher, which you can automatically check out the code, run the builds and script and publish the Docker image like you do in our normal CI/CD practices. And it also supports some catalog of application. Like it has the if you see the AWS marketplace. Similarly, Rancher have its own application catalog or marketplace where you can install the available public charts or public application in your Kubernetes cluster by just one click. You don't have to search for Helm chart or just configure it. It is already configured. You just have to click on it. It also supports the monitoring and logging. It integrated with the monitoring and logging. Just one click, you can just configure your Kubernetes cluster with the monitoring. You can see all the uses of across the cloud. What is the uses of Kubernetes clusters? Then a lot of things are there. It has a nice UI. I think we can in a demo I will show you that. And okay, I think this image itself explains, like it supports almost all the public clouds and private clouds. It also have the provisioning, upgrades, RBAC policy, security capacity which is a operational challenge that we faced. And on top of that, it supports by default, or it supports the CI/CD monitoring, logging, which is kind of doesn't come up with the Kubernetes, but it as a Kubernetes as a service, it supports that. So this Rancher is really cool. So let's talk more about it. Okay, as I explained previously, using Rancher, you can install Kubernetes on cloud infrastructure, right? You can use, for that you can use the RKE, which is the Rancher Kubernetes engine, which is the official Kubernetes distribution by the Rancher. And it also supports creating the Kubernetes cluster using the managed services like GKE, EKS, or AKS. It also supports the centralized security policy management and capacity management and authentication management. So, and it also have integrations for authentication with AD, like AD, SAML, LDAP, and it actually provides you a single pane of glass to manage the clusters, projects, and application. From a single pane of glass, you can manage multi-cloud, multi-cluster projects, as well as you can deploy the multiple application over the different clouds at same time. It has an integration of CI/CD with support like Jenkins. You can run the Jenkins, GitOps, everything from the single portal only. And it has a integrated monitoring supported, so that you can visualize all your cost uses, all your resource uses for the different cloud from a single place. So that's why the Rancher is really great. Actually, I like it very much. Rancher supports the DevOps tools like Jenkins, GitLab, and Travis for CI/CD pipeline. And it has the Prometheus and Grafana, and a Fluentd for logging, and Prometheus Grafana for monitoring. I think this image and the explanation that I have given, I think itself explains a lot. And from single UI, you can, with one click, you can deploy your application, you can deploy the underlying Kubernetes infrastructure, you can install the monitoring, you can install the logging, you can have the centralized authentication. So this is nothing but the whole Kubernetes as a service. And so let's see what else. Okay, so I have some scenario for this. So suppose you have 3 teams in your company, and each one wants to deploy the Kubernetes cluster on a different cloud. And so with using Rancher, you can manage different teams requirement with the multiple clusters on multiple cloud with a centralized IT operation. Like, so you have a centralized authentication and access control, and then you can have a centralized security policies, then auditing, backups, and upgrades. So it's centrally managed on the Rancher, but your cluster or your application can be distributed across the different clouds or different clusters. And Rancher not only deploys the production grade Kubernetes cluster from data center to cloud, but it also unites them with a centralized authentication, right? So this is very nice feature of Rancher, because assume you have something like you have 10 Kubernetes cluster managed, and you have a DevOps engineer. If you want to give access, you may have to create his service account or his user in every cluster. But if you have one Rancher user and he can manage all the 10 clusters from single UI, it will be kind of very helpful. And even it can integrate with a Google authentication, then GitHub, or whatever that Okta Verify. So a lot of authentication integration is there, and it's very helpful. So let's go for the next scenario. Okay, so where we can actually, now all that we said, all we understand what is Rancher. Rancher is a Kubernetes as a service where you can deploy the Kubernetes cluster across the clouds, across the infrastructure, as well as you can manage your Kubernetes cluster easily. But Rancher lets you streamline cluster deployment on bare metal, private clouds, public cloud, or vSphere, right? And it actually, you can use using the Helm or app catalog that Rancher support. You can manage your application across any of these environments. So, but what is actually there are simple 3 use cases that I came up with. So first one is like, if you want to deploy your same application across the different clouds for performance, security, compliance, and the DR requirement that I explained in the previous slide. So you can, using Rancher, with one click, you can deploy your application to all the clouds with all the clouds. And even like in the second scenario, like you can deploy the different portion of your application with a different cloud. Like, why that needed? If I have some cloud which have good compute, very cheap compute resources, and I can deploy the compute specific application in that cluster, while I deploy other application in different cluster, the different part of application in different cluster. So there are a lot of use cases that for to improve the performance, reduce the cost. So we can actually take use of Rancher to do this for us. And using the Rancher user, the third one is like, you can deploy to the private cloud, right? You can have a private cloud or your bare metal server, your on-premise infrastructure. You can create Kubernetes cluster easily, and you can deploy your application. So this is about the Rancher. I think we are moving ahead. Okay. So now main part, I want to show the demo, live demo for the Rancher. Just switch to the different screen. Okay. So we already, I have already installed a Rancher. So there are different installation methods that you can install Rancher. So Rancher server, so they have the site rancher.com, and it's open source, so you can install it quickly within like 5 to 10 minutes. They support the different installation methods. So you can use either a Helm chart based method where you can deploy on your existing Kubernetes cluster, or you can create a single node and use the Docker to install the Rancher. So I kind of use the Docker command, which is a simple command. With this simple command, you can have this Rancher up and running, and it's quick to start. And they also have some quick start guides for installing the Rancher. So you can start the installing Rancher or using quick start guide like AWS, GCP, and Azure. So they already have support for all the public clouds, including DigitalOcean as well. It's very easy and it's very informative, so you can use it. So I already have this Rancher server running, so I'll just log into it. Okay, so this is a Rancher dashboard. You can see on the left panel there are some options. So explore cluster, continuous delivery, cluster management. So in this part of the demo, as we can't go all the features of Rancher, as part of the demo, I'll just show you that how I can create 2 clusters within 1 minute on different clouds. And then I'll show you from one cloud perspective, I'll deploy one application to all the clouds at one click. And I will show how monitoring and how the user authentication, the integration that they have, monitoring dashboard they have. So this 4 or 5 things I'll show you quickly. So let's go to the cluster management. If you see, I already have 3 cluster deployed. This is on EKS, this is on EC2, this is on GKE. And I can easily explore any cluster. I can see what is going on in that cluster. I see what is the capacity, what is memory. I can see all the metrics of that cluster. And I can easily switch back to the different cluster at one click only. This is on a different cloud, and even we can deploy the application on different clouds. So let's see, I'll start with the creating cluster. We can even just want to show import existing cluster as well. If you already have a created cluster, you can import existing cluster as well. So they have this cloud credentials where you can add your cloud credentials, and these drivers are nothing but the supported cloud providers that Rancher have. So currently it has enabled the EKS, AKS, GKE, and RKE. You can just enable all these clouds as well. So it's very easy and very a single pane of glass solution for all kind of cloud providers. So let's start with creating cluster. So for demo purpose, I'll just use the EC2 to create a cluster. So they also support like EKS, AKS, GKE as a managed services. And then you can use the EC2 Azure instances, DigitalOcean, Linode. So on this, it will install the Kubernetes cluster using their RKEs as their official distribution for Kubernetes. And custom is nothing but for your on-premises infrastructure. Like if you already created some nodes in on-premises, you can, using this approach, you can create a cluster on that. So these are all options. So I'll just use Amazon EC2 for now. So you have to just give the demo. Okay, I'll just use the same RN web. So I have to add the node pool. So I will add first master. I'll choose the template. So templates is nothing but kind of a launch configuration where you define which kind of instances you want to use. What are it's just the basic configuration. I'll show you that as well. So I'll use the demo templates. Then I have to select this, which kind of application process is going to run. So I'm going to run etcd and control plane on the master. And then I will add one more pool. I'll say RN worker. I'll say RNweb, sorry, RNweb. I'll say one. I'm just creating one node, clusters only. You can create like 3, 4, whatever nodes you want. Or you just have to select this. In this case, I will just going to select worker because I want it to be only worker. You can add all the different tents here. Okay, member source are you have different users in your in Rancher. You can give access to them as well. Or so I'll just see what are the users I have. Okay, I have a demo read user. I can give him member access. Label annotation, you can add any label. So I'll just add cloud AWS. Then there are a lot of cluster of options. You can select the which version of Kubernetes you want to install. It supports from 18 to above. So I'll just select the 20. You can select the network providers, different network providers, as you know. So I'll keep Canal as a by default. So Amazon entry. So it says like so this option is for cloud provider because Kubernetes core has the implementation for cloud control manager. So and you can have your own cloud control manager as well, but we are going to use the default in tree one. Private registry, if you have any private registry that your application going to access, you can add that. So these are the advanced option. Like it comes with like you can deploy the ingress by default. You can enable the port security policy. Then you can give the node port ranges. You can deploy the monitoring server by default. You can mention the which Docker to use. You can encrypt the server. Then we can have the etcd backup and snapshot auto. It actually creates a backup and push to the S3 if you configure S3 one. Then you have this configuration for recurring snapshots and all. So all these options are there. So you can just keep it as it is. Okay. So if you see my cluster creation started, so it will start creating nodes and it will start deploying. So it will take time. By the time I will just go walk you through the existing cluster. Okay, so I'll just go to the cluster and I have to say explore. Okay, so if you see, you can see what are the workloads are running currently. If you have, I'll just say all namespaces, you can see all the workloads are running, deployments and everything. So, and this is the apps and marketplace that I was talking about. So you can just install any app from this chart. Like you can select like categories. There are monitoring, logging, then Istio, data log. So I can just select and install this. It's a one-click deployment. Just you can see it starts the deployment of that. So this charts and marketplace is like nice because there are all the public monitoring solutions is available here. So I will not go into depth. So this is how you can manage the cluster. You can enable the monitoring, and if you see currently cluster, I have enabled monitoring. That's why I can see it has the Grafana integrated as well. I can go to the Grafana and see all the metrics that I have. So you can access it on the same Rancher link for all the clusters. So it's integrated monitoring as well as logging as well. If you have to, if you install logging, it will create Elasticsearch and you can use that for logging purpose. It deploys the ELK cluster as well. So this is about the how you can create a cluster, how you can explore it. I will do that because we have a time limitation, but there are a lot of things. So one thing that I want to show you, the authentication, right? So we were talking about the different authentication mechanisms, right? So if you see, it provides you the different integration for the different providers. Like you can integrate with the Google, Keycloak, Okta. So all the available OAuth, LDAP, and SAML configuration it has support to. And so it's similar, like you can add users or you can just integrate with any auth provider. So all the user access management happens from that authentication provider. So this is really nice one. This is not in simple Kubernetes, it's not there, but with this, I think it's very helpful for us. And the main part is continuous delivery, right? So what I'm gonna do is like, I have the simple Hello World application chart, which deploys the Kubernetes Hello World application. So I'll just deploy it on Rancher. So I have to, this is a kind of a CI tool for the Rancher. You have to just create a Git repo. I'll just, I have to give the repo, the branch, main. Okay. If you have Git authentication, you can add it or create it. I don't need because it's my public repo. The path is for the where your helm chart is. So my helm chart is right on the root level only. So I'm not going to configure that. You can select deploy to, like you can deploy to all cluster at once, or you can select the cluster that you want to deploy. So I'll select the all cluster in workspace. You can add the label or namespace. I'll label demo v2 target namespace. So it will create a namespace as well for you. You can add the labels for your application. You can add the annotation if you need. Okay. If you see it is trying to deploy it. It has deployed to the all clusters now. If you see, it has created the deployment service and service account. So it will create the endpoint for that. So this is how you can deploy it at one click. And you can create the cluster groups for, like if you have some application need to install on those clusters only, you can this cluster group and you can deploy in the cluster groups as well. This is how you can achieve the application deployment. Even like you can write the CI pipelines as well. So the Rancher supports the rancher.pipeline.yaml. So in repo, you can just write the pipeline and write the Jenkins pipeline kind of thing. And it will, once you have commit to your pipeline code and once the repo is, you say, you add the repo to the CI pipeline, it will automatically run the pipeline whenever commits happen. You can add a webhook and all. So this is how it really helpful in case of monitoring, then logging, then user authentication, centralized authentication, centralized managing all the clusters on a different cloud, and one-click deployment, one-click cluster creations. So all these things are there. I think this is what I have for today, because as a time constraint, I think I'm good with it. Usha, over to you. And thanks everyone for attending it.